Hello everyone. Today in this video I am going to give few brief information regarding hernia, which is very common disease we routinely see in our OPD in both male and female. So for general population I would like to share some information regarding the disease. Firstly, what is hernia? Hernia is, by definition, it is something which is abnormal protrusion. That means which is coming out of some place to another place. That means commonly from out of abdomen cavity into the outside environment, maybe outside into the other plane, like abdomen wall, in different planes of abdomen wall, to the extent of it may reach. For example, in groin hernia, it can reach up to scrotum. So, basic definition itself, it says it's something which is abnormal. So, this is not normal. So, that term we should keep in our mind. So, hernia, that means that is something which is abnormal. That is not normal. So, based on the site of this occurrence, so we have so many types of hernia in our body. It's purely based on basis of site of anatomical site. So, for example, most commonly we routinely see in our OPD, that is groin area. So, groin hernias. So, that is very common, mainly in male, and it's also one of the commonest hernia in females, among females. So, groin area is the most common hernia. So, which is something which it can be seen in any age group. There is no age prevalence for this. So, commonly seen among either side of the age group, elderly and in children. And in children, most of the time it is by birth. That means congenital hernia. So, we call that as congenital hydrocele. So, that we need to rectify by birth at the earliest stage, and we have to treat it. And in old age, it's not like that. It's not necessarily we treat every hernia in old age. In old age, for example, more than 80 years of 80 years of age, and we need not to treat all hernias in elderly people. So, in between the age group, in between these two, that means in most of the population among 60s, we see most of the hernias among 60s nowadays because of high physical activities. So, this is the occurrence of hernia. So, and another common type hernia we see umbilical hernia. Most of the time it is congenital hernia. So, umbilical as such, that is a natural defect in the umbilical region. So, that is the one of the prone area to get a hernia. So, umbilical hernia, it's commonly seen among children. So, it is seen, but it may be there, but it may be present, and it may become troublesome during adulthood. So, they may present during adulthood also. Same congenital hernia, they may present during adulthood. So, it's about umbilical hernia. Likewise, there are so many hernias. There may be lumbar hernia, which is commonly seen in the back area, in the lumbar region, and femoral region. These are all weak points, natural weak points of our body. So, in femoral region, we have a femoral vessels which pass from it passes from groin area it enters into the lower limb. So, that is one of the entry points. So, that is one of the natural weakest point in our body. So, that is one of the area which is prone for getting an hernia. It is commonly seen in females. And nextly, why this hernia occurs? Many people doesn't know why this hernia occurs. Many people doesn't even know it's a disease. So, for them, it is a disease. It is something which is abnormal. So, why it occurs? It occurs, as I told, it may be congenital defect. Congenital defect which is seen in the babies, newborns, neonates, and all children. And it may be acquired. Acquired hernias are commonly seen in older people. I mean, adults. In adult group, congenital hernia may manifest in the adult age, but in older group, it's always acquired. Most of the time, it's always acquired. Nobody keeps a congenital hernia up to 80 years of age. So in older age, it is acquired. Acquired, why it is acquired? Because we have a natural weaker points in our body. Like I said, umbilical weakness, groin area, and then femoral region, lumbar region. These are all weak regions. So anything which exaggerates this weakness, which leads to hernia. For example, to groin hernia to develop, we need something inside our abdomen, something pressure. That pressure should be more to push the bowel. I mean, that bowel inside our abdomen cavity, to push it out, there should be some pressure inside our abdomen. So, what and all conditions, what and all situation which increases this pressure, that all leads to hernia to develop. So, for example, those who are chronic smoker, they have a chronic cough, they never get relieved with a cough, full-time coughing. They always cough with the pressure. So that increases abdominal pressure. That leads to hernia to develop. Then constipation. Those who have constipation, those who try to pass that stool with so much straining in the toilet, so they'll put lot of pressure. So because of that pressure, you develop hernia. And urine tract infection or urinary bladder outlet obstruction. For example, those who have a grade 4, grade 3 prostate obstruction to the bladder outlet, those people also, they strain for passing urine. So that pressure adds to develop hernia. So likewise, any pressure which increases the intra-abdominal pressure, that always put a pressure on these weaker points and push that bowel out from inside out. So this is the mechanism we develop hernia. Then whether all hernia needs to be seen by doctor. Yes, all hernias has to be shown to the doctor and get a proper advice. So there are many people we come across. They will be living with hernia. They will be like, they will be thinking that as another part of their body, and they will be living with hernia. Only because there is a prolonged asymptomatic stage of this disease. Until unless it creates any problem, it will not bring any notice. It won't bring any notice from the patient. So once it starts creating problem, for example, pain, any other thing in that matter. So then the patient will be aware of, oh, there is something which is bulging out, which is not there in other side or anywhere or anyone. Something which is abnormal in my body, which is protruding out, it's coming out, it's popping out. So they think like that. So then that will bring the patient to the doctor. So what I'm telling, you don't wait for that. Don't wait for symptoms to appear. Once you notice something which is unusual, you have seen in your body, you come to the doctor. Then we will assess it, then we will tell you what has to be done. So that is the information I'm going to give, would like to give you. So anything which you see abnormal protrusion, so bring that to a doctor's notice and get assessed and get treated if necessary. And the people thinks hernia, which is, they would have seen their their old grannies and relatives, anybody, they will be living with hernia. They think, hey, he lived this many years, so he didn't get any problem. So I also won't get problem. It's not like that. So he may be living without any precipitating factor. So that's why it didn't create any problem for him. But it's not same for you. So if you are a smoker, if you have any constipation problem and along with hernia, you are always prone to develop a complication. So don't compare with a fellow man and think that it won't create any problem for me. So always it is individualized. It's not same for all. Any hernia, definitely it will complicate. If not today, in one day it will complicate. So better get treated. So what are the options we have? So people are confused. There may be people that think that there is some Ayurveda medication, there are some other alternative medicine for this. I'll tell you one thing. There is no other medicine, not even a modern medicine for hernia to get treated. So only option we have is surgery. Surgical treatment for hernia is the only option available. So don't go for any other alternative modality of treatment. There is no other proven successful treatment for hernia. So only option we have surgery. Surgery. When it comes to surgery, they think whether all hernias require surgery. This is the common doubt people have. So yeah, they do get this doubt, but yes, they are correct. It's not necessary to treat, surgically treat all hernias. There are few situations we do manage conservatively, like patient is old age, is 80 years old, 80 plus years old of age, and he is having multiple comorbidities, saying respiratory disorder, cardiorespiratory disorder, and all these comorbidities he is having. Plus, he is not gonna live any. His life expectancy is not expected more. It may succumb anytime soon. So in that cases, we avoid surgery. Not necessary, provided it is a direct hernia. That direct hernia means unlikely, very less chance for complication compared to a indirect hernia. So in that situations, we try to avoid surgery. But most of the other situations, we always advise surgeries to get treated. Another common query people usually get, what type of surgery we should prefer? So by and large, laparoscopic hernia surgery, it is proven best type of surgery for hernia repair. It is universally proven, but not all the patient can undergo laparoscopic hernia repair. For example, an old man, 80 years, 70 years, with multiple comorbidities, with respiratory disease, with compromised respiratory state, with cardiovascular disease, like ISD. So in these patients, it is always better to prefer an open method rather than a laparoscopic method. Only because a laparoscopic procedure requires a general anesthesia. Usually these kind of patients, they are not fit for general anesthesia. So that anesthesia, except for that, otherwise this laparoscopic surgery is always preferred. So to avoid the general anesthesia, we prefer this open surgery in this kind of situation. Otherwise, laparoscopic is always best option. Then another one drawback for laparoscopy is the recurrence chance. Recurrence chance for laparoscopic surgery, hernia surgery, is little on higher side compared to a well done open Lichtenstein tension-free herniaplasty. So this is proven by research. So considering these 2 points, people are still preferring open surgeries in these 2 situations. Otherwise, laparoscopic surgery offers a lot of other benefits. Say for example, it reduces the pain, post-operative pain, it reduces the post-operative hospital stay, it reduces post-operative pain and everything. So overall, laparoscopy reduces your time. So you can get back to your office work as early as possible compared to open surgery. In open surgery, it requires a little extra days of rest. That's all. And cost wise, as we know, when we need something, we have to lose something. So at cost wise, but it's a cost effective, laparoscopic surgery is cost effective, but its cost is higher than the open surgery. So these are the pros and cons of open and laparoscopic surgeries. It is always individualized. We will decide on the basis of that particular patient what type of surgery is fit for this patient. It's not generalized. So we will assess the patient and we will decide which type of surgery is fit for this patient. And commonly people ask whether this hernia will recur or whether the hernia will occur anywhere else in my body after surgery. Yes, there is a chance for recurrence in any type of surgery. It is purely purely because of our own body defect, we develop hernia. So we are just correcting it. We are not correcting the entire body system. So we always tell, you don't give 100%, you don't get a recurrence. So we always tell there is a slight possibility, and it varies according to the type of surgery you do. So there is a possibility of recurrence, and there is always possibility of getting any hernia in anywhere else. So we don't guarantee them that you won't get hernia anywhere else. So you get hernia in other reason also. And then they commonly ask how long I should take rest after surgery. Generally we advise 1 month of rest after open surgery. I mean, it's not complete bed rest. We do advise them, don't do any physical activities which demands putting a pressure on your lower abs. So lifting a heavy weight, starting your bike with heavy kicker. Like these activities, we usually advise them to avoid for another 1 month of period. So it usually take 3 months to get that 70% of original strength of their body muscle. So we don't get 100% strength, even though you correct beautifully, meticulously. Even though if you correct the defect, you won't get 100% strength of originality. You would get only 70% of original strength. So we advise them avoid these kind of activities and for another 3 months or so. So it's not so in laparoscopy. We tell them 1 week or so. It is a keyhole surgery. It's very minimal defect, very minimal stitches, very minimal things. So we tell them very minimal hospital stay. So we'll tell them 1 week or so, it's enough. So another thing that get is what complication I do develop if I undergo this surgery. So generally hernia surgery, we do not find these complications frequently. So very rarely we find few complications after surgery, very rarely. So that is again depends on the patient factor. So it's like commonly we see, especially after open surgery, we do see seroma. That means a normal fluid collection after we handle tissue so much and we have closed everything under tight pack, and there is a normal tissue discharge which keeps on collecting on the wound site where we do surgery, and it will become a seroma and it will cause such a throbbing pain for the patient. So it's commonly seen. It is well managed by conservatively. We will just drain it. We will open 1 or 2 stitches and will be drained, and it will be okay by another 5 or 6 days. So even very rarely we see mesh infection. The same seroma, if getting infected, then that infection spreads down to the mesh which we keep for hernia surgery. That will get infected. If it is not coming under control even after a good antibiotic course, then we may need to remove that mesh and redo the surgery later on. So these are the very rare few complications of hernia, and very rarely we do get some meshalgia. That is a term called meshalgia. That means that nerves which comes in that region, it will get trapped in the mesh and it will cause very much pain for the patient. So very rarely we do see these kind of complications. Not routinely we see for all the patients. So very rarely. So we can say less than 5% patient you get these kind of, less than 2% you can say, not even that. So very less chance for any complication post surgery. And there are few complications especially for laparoscopic. After laparoscopic hernia repair, we do get hernia at the port site. That means we use a laparoscopy port, that keyhole which we make in the umbilicus. That site, it's already weakened part. So we open that umbilicus and we make a hole in that. After procedure, we will do stitch it, but in case stitches are not proper or there is infection, anything which weakens that part, again there is a chance for getting a hernia over that site. So that is very rare but still seen in the patients. So this is the one complication which we see in the laparoscopic hernia, port site hernia. So which later on it may require surgery again. Then again patient, patient we usually, yeah, these are all very basic information patient needs to know. So overall, what I would like to tell patients, anything which you see abnormal in your body, so consult a doctor. Make sure that is not something abnormal. If it is abnormal, make sure you get treated in a right time, at a right place, by a right person. Don't go for any alternative ways. There is no alternative way, especially for hernia. There is no alternative medicine, alternative treatment except surgery. Only one way is surgical correction of hernia.